Hello, my name is Joe Esposito. I live in Owasso, Oklahoma, which is north of Tulsa. Today is February the 3rd, 2016. I am a PSO electric utility ratepayer. I have lived here for 20 years. I have been a ratepayer for about 40 years. I've always paid my bills on time. Okay, the purpose here today is to evaluate PSO's Trifold. That's what we're going to do. But we're going to give you a little history first so you maybe understand what we're going to be talking about. The background. There used to be on our homes, there was an analog mechanical electrical meter, and it measured kilowatt hours just for a 24-hour period. And there, being mechanical never did anybody any harm. Well, today we're moving in the last few years, been moving into digital microwave radiating meters, and that's what PSO has done. And so it's causing huge radiation problems, and there's other problems associated with that. Owasso was PSO's pilot program for Oklahoma, and since I live in Owasso, they came to my home and they installed without asking. We called them and said we didn't want one, and they said, my wife would have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do the laundry, and I said, you tell her that. And so, they installed, and months later, on November the 7th, 2012, we were watching Dr. Dietrich Klinghardt YouTube for 3 minutes, and that's when I saw what was really happening with these smart meters. And so I've laid down my life now for about the last 3 years trying to fight what's happening. So I purchased a radiation detection meter, high frequency, and so now I've been on PSO's rate case last year. I've been to the state legislature, I can't tell you how many times in the last 3 years. I've been to the Oklahoma Corporation Commission lots of times. I've been with the Attorney General's office working with them trying to share this information. I've published 94 articles in the Banner newspaper in Adair, Oklahoma on this issue. And then in all this too, I've had my power turned off for 66 days. So I guess you could say I'm in the middle of it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to show you, this is the Trifold, PSO's Trifold that they came out with, and there's 3 sides here. And so you can see that this is the thing we're going to be talking about. And here today, we're going to show you, physically show you, what I believe is PSO's incorrect information, especially in health safety section. And that's this section right here. This is the health and safety section. And that's mainly what we're going to be discussing, this right here. Okay, now when we started all this, PSO just says in their Trifold that, like they'd say 4 microwatts or 40 microwatts. Well, there's a little more to it, because there's microwatts per centimeter squared and there's microwatts per meter squared. And so we weren't sure what they were doing. So we had, in our research, because see, my meter reads in microwatts per meter squared. And it appears their readings came from the California Council on Science and Technology. And that chart they pulled this from was in centimeters squared. So I just want you to understand, and I know people get kind of weird when you start talking numbers, but let me help. I'm trying to make this as simple as I can. Right. So that green sheet, all it is a conversion chart. And it's an equivalency thing. So PSO's measurements and their readings are in microwatts per centimeter squared, and my meter is in microwatts per square meter, okay, or meter squared. And so it's real simple, the conversion. It's 1 microwatt per centimeter squared is equivalent to 10,000 microwatts per meter squared. And so I can look up back and forth whatever I need to see the conversion. Well, we know that took place because this is the document that came out in 2011, around January, the 1st of January. And it was from the California Council on Science and Technology. And, you know, PSO is using this chart. And so you can see here, and we'll show you the chart, this is where the information came from. And like they say, like, they used all these, basically these same numbers that the California Council did. So that's why we know, when we figured out that's what they were trying to say, but we had to figure that out. And so I don't think the public understood that. But then just to show you, this is Environmental Defense Fund. They came along and picked up the same information that is really misinformation. They picked up the exact same information that PSO is using now. And this came from a town north of Edmond, from a water utility. So then this guy named Daniel Hirsch came along in January of 31, and he's trying to say, no, that was incorrect science that was being used by the California council. And so he's coming along here, and the thing that we really have to focus on in these charts is the stuff that PSO is using, the documentation. It says cell phones are astronomically bad and smart meters are next to nothing. Okay, so that's the issue here, and that's what we're going to show you today and prove. Okay, so Hirsch comes along and says, no, you didn't look at full body exposure, and so he's recalculated all this. Cell phones are very small in radiation, and smart meters are very large in radiation. So that's what we're trying to show, and we will show you that today in this whole thing. So then, okay, so here's, okay, and so this is what we're going to point out is here. Okay, this is where they talk about their digital meters, and they say 40 microwatts for 3 feet away, 4 microwatts for 10 feet away, 1 to 2 minutes per day during transmission, and then they're going to compare it to household appliances. So here's a Wi-Fi. They say less than 1 microwatt constant. Televisions less than 1 microwatt constant. Microwaves hundreds of microwatts during use. And then cell phones 1,000 to 5,000 microwatts at ear during use. Remember, at ear during use. That's a very key thing to tell you right now. Okay, so then the thing about this is I can read this radiation. I just have to have a conversion chart, and I know the equivalency. So I can read what this radiation is doing, and I can read the radiation from these appliances. And so my meter is an HFE 35C high frequency analyzer, and it reads from 27 megahertz to 2,500 megahertz. It reads 200 microwatts per meter squared, 2,000 microwatts per meter squared, and we put a device on there that reads 200,000 microwatts per meter squared. It's got a directional antenna. It cost over $1,000 3 years ago when I purchased it. All right. So the thing is, I believe PSO is incorrect when they tell the public that cell phones are more dangerous than smart meters. Okay? And so, you know, and these two charts are talking about. They're saying there's where it came from, where the information came from that was not properly constructed or to tell the public. And then what we've also devised to help the public, we'll put up on our website, is a equivalency chart. And so this is what PSO is calling for. This is what Hirsch is correcting for. And remember, so this, we're just going to read it now in microwatts per meter squared, so it's equivalent to what PSO is saying. And then we're going to give you the actual readings. So we have 7 different categories that we're going to do. And so here's the 7, we made this up. Here's the 7 different categories. Okay, so here's the 40 microwatts, 3 feet, you know, 4 microwatts in 1 to 2 minutes a day. So there's 7 different areas. So we're going to physically go with my meter, and we're going to do the conversion for you, and then we're going to put it on the screen and show you the truth about what's happening. Right? So I believe the public is being given incorrect information by these different sources that PSO is relying on to implement their smart meter program. I believe that smart meters, you know, the smart meters are creating, transmitting microwave radiation. It's damaging people's health. So you watch the evidence that I'm going to show you here today, and you decide what the truth is. Okay, here we are evaluating PSO's Trifold customer guide, and we were going to do 7 different items. This is item number 1. This is the digital meter, and on their literature it says 40 microwatts per centimeter squared, and that converts to 400,000 microwatts for my meter to read. I have a 200,000 attenuator on it, so I can read up to 200,000. So we're going to see what we're going to get here. We have to be 3 feet away, and I've got my yardstick to make sure we got the 3 feet. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go over here to the meter. We're going to be 3 feet away. So let's watch our meter now and see what we get. Okay, there was 49, so that's 49,000 just then. It just went off. Okay, there was 39,000 just then. Okay, I think that was 53, so it'd be 53,000. That was 289, I think it was. So that's 28,000. There was 41,000, one right after another. There was 48,000. the point is, I think that was 27,000. The point is, they're going off fairly often. Just depends, I guess. But PSO in their literature said they're supposed to transmit it at 400,000. And here you see what they're transmitting. We usually go 200 microwatts and 2,000 microwatts, but since we're just looking like the 400,000, we kind of just didn't do the 200, 2,000 because it blows right past the meter. So that's why we're using higher readings. So that's our results. Okay, here we are evaluating PSO's Trifolder customer guide. Remember, there are 7 items that we're going to go through. This is item number 2. PSO says that at 10 feet away, that it was supposed to be 40,000, well, theirs was 4 microwatts per centimeter squared, which converts to my meter of 40,000 microwatts per meter squared. And so we have a device that reads 200,000. So let's see what we can find out here. Okay, here we go. So we have a tape, measuring tape, and we measured out 10 feet here. So we'll see if we can get a reading off this meter. Okay, that was 78, so it'd be 7,800. There was 34, so that'd be 3,400. There was 74, that'd be 7,400. There was 6,800, so that kind of shows you the numbers at 10 feet. You know, and their information is, the conversion says 40,000, and these are the numbers we're getting at 10 feet. Okay, here we are with PSO's Trifold, and this is the consumer guide. And remember, we are testing 7 items. This is item number 3. It says 1 to 2 minutes per day during transmission. Okay, and we're gonna, it's on 200. We're just gonna hold it here a minute and just show you how many times it goes off. So if it goes over 200, you'll see it go to the left, usually. But what PSO is not telling you is they're in a court of law, other places, the meters were going off 14, there it went, just went off. You can hear it click, my meter. They go off 14,000 to 190,000 times a day, but they're micro-pulse, micro-pulse bursts. And so they're going off all day long for 24 hours. And while they're doing that, they're going right through your house. So we're just going to show you how often it goes off. Okay, there it went. See, it went to the left over 200. That was one just then. There it went again. It just went off again. So it's transmitting. it clicked again just then. Whoa, there it went. That was a big one. Right there. That was several pulses altogether. Okay, that's just going to give you an idea that there's multiple microbursts, and I don't know what determines how they transmit and when they transmit. You know, they may be going off a lot more in some places. I've been in some PSO meters where it sounds like a machine gun going off. So I don't know what makes all that happen, but you know, for whatever reason, we're not privy to that kind of information. Okay, well, thank you. Okay, here we are evaluating PSO's Trifold customer guide. And remember, we're going to perform 7 different tests. And we're going to compare what PSO is saying and what this meter reads. And so on number 4, which is Wi-Fi routers, it's supposed to be less than 1 microwatt constant. And what we've learned is, I think what PSO was trying to say is this is microwatts per centimeter squared. And my meter reads in microwatts per square meter. And so you have to make a little change of like 10,000. So like my meter to read 1 microwatt per centimeter squared will be 10,000 microwatts per meter squared on my meter. So let's see what we're going to read at 3 feet away. All right. So we got the meter, directional antenna, reads 200 microwatts per meter squared, 2,000 microwatts per meter squared, and then we'll put the device on that reads 200,000. So let's turn it on. Okay. So that's a Wi-Fi signature of Wi-Fi, and so my meter can tell what I'm reading by the signature. Okay, so it's 114 here. Maybe, you know, 63, 83, 123 microwatts per meter squared. So let's go see now what we can find here. Now, when this meter hits 200, you'll see it go to the left, and there'll be a number 1, just like that. All right. So what that means, see, it's 192. It's pushing the limit of the meter, so it's over 200 microwatts. So now we're going to go to 2,000, and let's see what happens. Okay, so there's 1,800, you saw it, all right, and so now it's over 2,000 microwatts. So let's turn this off, and let me put on the device that makes it read 200,000. And when we get up here, you know, we're supposed to be 3 feet from the meter, so we have our yardstick laid out. And we're going to be right up against their kitchen table at 3 feet. And then we might go a little closer to show you what it's like when you sit at the desk right next to the thing, Wi-Fi. Okay, so let me get it set up and turned on, because it's got the meter has to settle just a little. Okay, so now we're going to go over here, we're going to read again. Okay, and so remember you add 2 zeros to the screen for this thing. So let's get a little closer. Okay, right there, that's 29,000 microwatts per meter squared. And we're just right about 3 feet, right? So there's 26,000, 28,000, 36,000, 38, there was 40,000. Now, this is right at their kitchen table, so somebody's sitting in this chair. Let's go a little bit closer and see the reading. So we go about, let's go up here. So right there, about a foot away, or a little less, it's reading 200,000 microwatts, and somebody sitting at this desk is getting a lot of radiation. And so we're only supposed to be around 10,000 according to PSO, so we're just showing what's present. Okay, here we are again, evaluating PSO's Trifold Customer Guide, and now we're on number 5, and number 5 is televisions, and PSO says less than 1 microwatt constant. Well, it's microwatt per centimeter squared, and on my meter that would read 10,000 microwatts per meter squared. So let's go see what we're going to read. Now this TV has a Wi-Fi-like sound it's transmitting, and you'll hear it when we turn the meter on. But as soon as we unplug the TV, it stops. So we know that the TV is transmitting, and there's no other transmissions going on in this house. It's an analog house. So let's go ahead and see what we have now. So here we go. We have 200 microwatts, 2,000. We don't have to put our booster on there, so we don't have to stop. So let's see what we have. So here we go. So here we have, in this room, 8.7, 8.4. And you can kind of hear it. It's coming through that wall. Remember, it's microwaves. So it comes through walls. So let's go see what this reads now. Okay, see, we just passed that wall, so that made it more powerful. Okay, that's 80, 89, 121, 147. Now this is where they sit. So it's running, you know, 60s, 70s. You could tell 85. Now when we get to 200, you'll see the meter go to the left, and there'll be a 1 right here, because that means it can't read any higher. So let's see where that's at. There it is. See, it hit 1 just then, right there. So that's over 200 microwatts, and this is going on the whole time they're watching television. So let's go to 2,000. There's the 19. It's going to drop. Okay, we're going to get a little closer to the TV. Okay, so that's over 2,000 we're reading at this TV. So, you know, PSO is saying 10,000, and what we're reading here is 2,000. Okay, here we are. We're with PSO's Trifold. And remember, we said there were 7 items. This is item number 6, microwaves. And so it says on PSO's brochure, hundreds of microwatts during use. And so, you know, we're looking at PSO's reading is centimeter squared. And so if we're going to pick 200, it could be 900. We're going to pick 200 microwatts per centimeter squared. But if we pick 200, that means in my meter reading, it's 2 million microwatts per meter squared on mine. And that's 2 feet away. And so we have our little yardstick here, and we have our meter here. So let's see now what happens. We have it on 200. Remember, there's 200, 2,000, and we can read 200,000. Okay, so right now, see, it's kind of low, 4s and 5s, 4.5 on that. So let's see now. We're going to turn it on for 30 seconds, and let's see what we get. Okay, so right now it's far over to the left, right? So it's over 200. So let's go to 2,000, and it's over 2,000 microwatts, way over 2,000. Okay, so now we're going to stop and put our other meter on there. Okay, just a minute. Okay, we're going to switch it here, put this other on real quick. And remember, they're saying 2 million. Well, we can't go to 2 million with this meter. We can go to 200,000. We'll see what we're doing here. Okay, so we're going to set it for 30 seconds again. And now we can read 200,000. So, see, time cooked, 30 seconds. Okay, and 2 feet away. So let's start it and see what we get. So there's 16, so there's 15, 24, 37, so that's 37,000, I think 38,000, 41,000 is what we're reading with this. So what we've shown is the high is 41,000 microwatts per meter squared, and they're calling for 2 million. Okay, here we are, PSO's Trifold Customer Guide under the heading of Health and Safety. Remember, there were 7 items we're going to test, and this is number 7, cell phones. And on their brochure they say 1,000 to 5,000 microwatts at ear during use. Okay, well, they didn't specify in the brochure whether it was centimeters squared or meters squared, and so after we did the research, they're saying centimeters squared. Now, if that's the case, and my meter reads in meters squared, so when they say a maximum of 5,000 microwatts per centimeter squared, on my meter I need to read 50 million microwatts per meter squared, and the minimum of 1,000 I would have to read 10 million microwatts per meter squared. And so we're going to try a flip phone, and then we're going to try an Apple iPhone. So here we go. We're going to call the home here. Okay, you'll hear it ring 4 times. And then the phone answering machine will pick up. And you're seeing the transmissions now. And this is on 200 setting on my meter. So there's 92 microwatts, 33, 28, 9, 8, 14. And so this would be just like at your ear, talking on the phone right now. So there's some 59, 19, 32, 40, okay? Now we're going to hang up, and you'll see the meter probably peg. Okay, it didn't. So now let's try our iPhone. We got Apple iPhone here. So we're going to call. Okay, get ready. Okay, now here's the readings, 192. I'm going to call. So there's 18. It's calling. 6.4, 4, 14, 21, 10. There's 11, 16. Okay, now the answering machine's picking up. There was 90. There's 16, 13, 25, 20, 8, 6. Okay, now we're going to turn it off, and we're going to see if it pegs the meter. Didn't necessarily do that, okay? But you see the meter readings for yourself, and you're seeing that they're very, very low. Okay, where theoretically, from what PSO was saying, they should be 50 million or 10 million, from what they're saying. So they're not. And here's the point of all this whole exercise that we've been through. Because, see, PSO goes around telling the public, well, if you have a cell phone, they're more dangerous from the literature, they say, than your smart meter. So you have to have a smart meter because your cell phone's more dangerous and you use your cell phone. So from this exercise of what we just went through with all these 7 different devices, we're showing you that PSO, in their own words, is saying their smart meters transmit, in my meter readings of microwatts per meter squared, 400,000 microwatts. And we pick up, when we go out and read, 62, 86, 51,000, 48,000 out on the actual readings. But PSO can no longer tell the public that the cell phones are more powerful than their meters. The most powerful thing out there of all these devices is PSO's smart meter. And they're just astronomically bad. It's not the cell phones we just showed you. So you make the decision what you think about all this. In summation, we have evaluated PSO's Trifold customer guide under the heading of health and safety and the different consumer devices. Here are several charts for you to review on the video. We have shown what PSO has stated in their customer guide under the heading of health and safety. We have presented our readings with graphs to help explain what we have demonstrated with our HF meter. PSO Electric Utility has consistently presented to the public that cell phones emitting pulsed microwave radiation is much more dangerous than the pulsed microwave radiation from smart meters. In PSO's own Trifold customer guide, PSO states smart meter radiation level is 40 microwatts. It is obvious that PSO's information came from the California Council of Science and Technology document, which is in microwatts per centimeter squared. The conversion to microwatts per meter squared is 400,000 microwatts per meter squared. I believe there is no other device listed on this consumer guide that equals the smart meter's amount of radiation. Also looking at PO's last cell phone comments under the heading of health and safety, that states 1,000 to 5,000 microwatts at the ear. Again, it is obvious that PSO's information came from California Council on Science and Technology document, which is in microwatts per centimeter squared. The conversion to microwatts per meter squared would be a minimum of 10 million microwatts per meter squared and a maximum of 50 million microwatts per meter squared. We have shown with our test this is obvious erroneous. We have read a flip phone and an iPhone with readings very low at 12 to 90 microwatts per meter squared. PSO should no longer be allowed to state that the cell phone is more powerful than a smart meter. The analogy of the cell phones to smart meters should no longer be used to force the public to install PSO smart meters. I believe what we are exposing is PSO's misinformation from industrial sources. Today, February the 3rd, 2016, I am here to expose and debunk PSO's smart meter program in Oklahoma. I believe AEP PSO is committing corporate criminal fraud with their smart meter program in Oklahoma. I believe that the Attorney General, Scott Pruitt, needs to, 1, prosecute AEPSO for corporate criminal fraud, 2, call for a moratorium on the AEP PSO smart meter program. And 3, have the transmitting cards pulled from PSO's transmitting digital utility meters because of the damage they are causing to people's health. If you agree, then you need to act now. Thank you for your time.
The expressions contained herein belong totally to Mr. Esposito and are his personal opinions based on studies of the science involved and empirical evidence as demonstrated within this video. It is not known whether PSO knowingly published misinformation for the public, but the public should wonder how, if it is their business, PSO does not understand the basics of the exposures that they are turning loose on the public. Such a situation, in Mr. Esposito's opinion, as expressed herein, should be investigated by appropriate state agencies.